We're good to go. So, welcome everyone that's just joined us on the stream to the Frontier panel at LAVECon 2018. My name is Adam Woods. I'm executive producer working on Elite Dangerous and at Frontier, obviously, because Frontier produces the game. That would be a bit weird if I didn't. With me on the panel, we have lead gameplay designer Sandy Samarco, the English gentleman. We have the ever-lovely Mark Allen, lead gameplay coder. And the treat for sore eyes, that is art director Chris Gregory. So it's really weird talking to a streamer. I don't know, maybe you're looking at me there, I don't know. But for those that you don't know, we are going to be going through shining a kind of peeking behind the curtain on some of the features that are coming up in the Q4 update, the big update at the end of this year. We're going to be shining a spotlight on just a few elements of each bit. So it's kind of almost like a walk around the dev office, if you will. So the footage and the things you're about to see this afternoon aren't final. They're investigations, they're concepts, they're things taken from the game. But it gives you, I'm hoping it's going to give you a really good sense of me moving around the screen weirdly. I hope it gives you a good sense of the progress we're making and that we're working really hard on this Q4 update. But not only that, we're also going to go into a little bit about the Chapter 2 update, which is coming June 28th. So it will come back to me, I'll say more words at you, and we'll take a look at what's coming up in that. So, without further ado, I think, if that's all the script, I'm going to hand over to Mark, who's going to talk about blowing up asteroids or something?
Yeah, we're going to start with an explosion for this one. So mining. I'm going to guess at least some people here are familiar with how the mining laser and prospector limpet work at the moment. We want to improve that gameplay a lot, and to do that, you'll keep your mining laser, you'll keep your prospector limpet. They're bringing quite a lot of friends to the party. We've got a suite of new tools coming, which will overhaul the mining process. To start with, you need to be able to find what you're going to mine, which ties into some of the exploration stuff that Sandy will be talking about when I finish waffling. Once you've got to the local area, you've got a few thousand asteroids, you need to narrow it down to which ones are really worth you spending your time, so you'll have a new in-ring scanning mechanism to work out which asteroids are going to be valuable, what kind of resources they contain.
Ooh, yes, more of that. Ooh.
Ooh. So
sorry, Mark.
Eventually, you'll narrow down to which asteroid you want to go and make the effort to mine. Sometimes you'll want to use existing mining laser, strip the surface of it, gather materials that way. Other times, you'll have found a number of different new kinds of deposit. Some of those are going to be fragile deposits on the surface. No. Fragile deposits on the surface that you're going to need to harvest very carefully because a normal mining laser will just shatter them completely. Sometimes they'll be slightly beneath the surface of the asteroid. You'll need to use new tools and new equipment to extract them safely. And occasionally, as we've hinted with our FX concept, and I think maybe behind me at some point, you'll need to crack the asteroids wide open to get at the juicy core in the middle. Something's going on over there.
Can we stop the sniggering, please? See me after class. Hey, these microphones are really good. Sorry.
So yes, cracking open the asteroid. You're going to have to place a load of blasting charges around the asteroid. In locations, you'll figure out, with the prospecting limpet, it's gaining some new functionality to tell you a little more detail about what's inside the asteroid, where there are structural weaknesses and fissures that you can exploit. You'll need to work out how many charges need to be placed and where on the asteroid to blow it open into chunks. When you do... I don't know why I keep looking at you. So it's a much more involved process, which means that, aside from being more interesting to go through, we can also increase the rewards you get from mining an awful lot, because we know a lot more about what you're doing, there's a lot more engaging things to be getting on with. And we can support wings and multi-crew a lot better in the whole process. So, personally, I love the idea of a wing of players descending on one of these particularly valuable asteroids. Maybe one person's taking the time to work out where to place the blasting charges. Someone else is harvesting all the fragile stuff on the outside, because if the blasting charges go off, that's all going to be destroyed. Maybe someone else is prospecting for the next asteroid to find, or maybe they're working on the subsurface deposits. It's going to come down to what works best for the group that you've got mining. And finally, we want to make mining a dangerous process. In the real world, it's not a particularly safe thing to be doing. You're using some pretty massive explosives. You're pushing huge chunks of rock around that can and do hit you quite hard. There are the less expected threats, though. Maybe this asteroid is particularly dusty and is going to kick up a cloud that obscures your vision or your sensors. Maybe you missed something on your scanner, and this one contains something a bit corrosive that's going to eat all the mining limpets you try to use to get the resources. Maybe this one's volatile and is just going to explode in your face.
You can tell which part he wants to code up, can't you?
I did say we were starting with explosions. Depends how big a rocket is. We want a lot of danger, but we want it to be expectable danger that if you know the tools, if you know the gameplay, you can predict and mitigate to some degree. But to players who are less experienced or who are less skilled in the process, it's going to be a pretty risky thing to go out doing, which we think sounds good. And it's more than just minerals and resources up there. When you break open these asteroids, yes, you'll have some explosive surprises. You may have some existing resources, some new resources. If you go out into the galaxy and are mining in some of the less explored areas, there's all sorts of other things you might be able to find. That leads into exploration.
Yeah. How do we find these things, Sandy?
Yeah, good question.
Nice link.
Nice segue there.
Thanks.
But yeah, we find them like we do everything else. We explore. So one of the big updates in Q4 is going to be exploration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a spotlight on just one small element. I don't want to give the game away just yet on everything. But I'm going to focus on it with through the lens of a couple of the pillars that we want to uphold with exploration, which are adding satisfying processes to exploration, and obviously making sure there are some cool things to find. So with that, let's take a module that probably, I imagine, we're all completely familiar with, the Detailed Surface Scanner. So this is a great little module. You stick it onto your ship, you get extra payouts, a lot of extra money, and you find some cool new information, which I think includes things like what materials are on a planet's surface. It's pretty good. So again, we're not taking anything away here. That functionality, you retain that, it's going to be there. That's all golden. However, it's fair to say that there's actually no gameplay associated with the Detailed Surface Scanner. It's like an add-on that makes the basic scan of a stellar body that much more useful. And that's where I think we can really improve things and make it a lot more fun, a lot more satisfying, and give you a bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to let the Detailed Surface Scanner launch probes. We're going to let you launch them in Super Cruise, and you're basically going to bombard stellar bodies with these probes. Now, they're obviously not there to destroy anything. They're sensor probes. And when you fire them around a planet or around a ring, because this will also be dovetailing into mining, this will be how you find a lot of the rich deposits that you can mine in asteroid rings and clusters and whatnot. The probes will follow what we're calling a kind of a partial guided orbit. Effectively, it's kind of like a parabolic arc. They will go in a straight line, but they have supercruise-assisted flight to allow them to arc towards the body that you want to scan. And when they get close enough to the surface, they will deploy a complicated sensor array and start collating data from a large area around them. And the idea is that we want you to effectively paint coverage of a body with these sensors. And once you've got enough coverage of data, then it's all collated and fed back to you with the results, and you can find out a lot of information. So why are we doing this? Well, one of the reasons is it's very satisfying. It's a fun activity. Because of the way the probes they fire in a straight line, but it's affected by gravity. So the larger the mass of the body that you're firing them at, the more they will arc towards it. It allows you to do cool things like trick shots. So you could just fly around a planet and periodically fire a probe down to collate the data from the area that it hits, and you can get full coverage that way. But it's a lot quicker and a lot more satisfying to actually start lobbing these probes around the planet. And in fairness, if you've got enough skill, you can trick shot and lob them around completely around the far side. So from one position, you can hit the absolute opposite surface area. There's also a small amount of resource management. You can shoot loads of probes at a planet and guarantee you're going to get coverage. But of course, then you're going to run out of probes more quickly, and you'll need to synthesize more. So the more efficient you are, the more satisfying the process. And we can also add mechanical, and we'll add mechanical rewards for doing it better, basically. And just like with mining, multi-crew is high on our agenda. So we want to make sure, people have been asking since multi-crew came out, let's get some stuff to do that's not combat-oriented. We totally hear you there. So with regards to the Detailed Surface Scanner, every crew member will be able to use it at the same time. And that includes Helm, although Helm can fly the ship as well. So not only does this look really cool, we've seen it in prototypes, it's really cool seeing all these arcs described around planets as probes whiz around them. It means that you can work together as a team, and you can do things much more efficiently, much more quickly. It's a lot of fun. And very importantly, because we now know that multi-crew crew members are taking part and they're taking active part in exploration, we can reward them appropriately. So, there will be a reason to multi-crew and explore. It should be a lot of fun. So that's looking at the process of it, the mechanical process. The flip side of that is what you find. So at a very base level, you find all the stuff you normally find. But on top of that, again, quite importantly, we think, we are going to eliminate the need to eyeball planets, right, to find interesting sites on them. It's kind of cool, and personally I have the utmost respect for the players that do, when they think there's something on a planet, they literally fly around and eyeball every part of it to find it. But I think we can improve this, we can make it better. So when you've got full surface coverage, sensor data for a planet, if there are interesting sites on it, such as Thyroid imprints or relics of the Guardians, or maybe just a field of strange brain trees, natural phenomena, we're going to tell you about it, basically, and we're going to guide you towards it, either through markers or another part of the breadcrumb trail. That's something that we're still working on at the moment. But the bottom line is, one of the features that we want to push quite heavily for exploration is to remove some of them out of the kind of randomness of, well, I'm just going to go here and I have no idea what's going on. At every stage during exploration, this is just one part, and there is a lot more coming. At the beginning of that stage, we're going to give you the information so you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to take this further. Well, we don't want you to go all the way down to planet surface and find there's nothing. You might want to go down there anyway. It might be an awesome photo opportunity. Yeah. So, but we don't want to. Thank you.
I've got you.
But we don't want to force you to make that decision and get there and find there's nothing for it. So that's well. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, that's the team. That's not me. That's the team making all these cool changes. However, that's on the flip side of that. It wouldn't be very cool to explore if there was nothing more to find. We've got an awesome galaxy. It's filled with really crazy, awesome sites, but we want more. Basically, we want you to find more. So we're going to seed the galaxy with a bunch of what we're calling discoveries. Basically, it's unique things to find. They're going to be pretty cool. So we're going to split them up into various categories, such as geological, geology, biology, phenomena. And as you can see, it's not always in individual elements that you'll find. Sometimes it's also the environment itself. And it's fair to say that all of these entities and these environments may have lots of interesting interactions, both beneficial and baneful for you as you explore. So that's where we're at. With exploration at the moment, there's a whole lot more to come. There's a lot of interesting things, such as we're going to divide the galaxy into regions to help you plot where discoveries are and locate them and log them. We've got the codex coming as well. Mm-hmm. So quite a lot of interesting stuff to come.
On that question of more, Chris, do you remember the day when I got made EP and I said to you, the game looks good, right? Looks really good. I think we'd all agree, didn't we? Yeah? The game is a pretty game, isn't it? I said to you, no, Chris, we can do more. And I challenged you. I said, Chris, make the game look better. Do it.
You challenged me. You came. You stared me right in the eyes.
Right there.
It was intense.
It was really
intense.
intense.
I remember that.
And, almost got fired.
I took that to heart, that challenge, and you know what? I think we might have risen to that challenge.
I think so.
And I think we've got some stuff to show today that I think illustrates some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's by no means the whole picture. There's a lot more stuff we're working on behind the scenes. But first of all, let's track back a little bit. And this was an image that we showed at Expo last year. So when this was up on screen at Expo, some of you might have been there. It was a good event. We really enjoyed that. We showed a lot of stuff. And this was one of the things we showed. This is a piece of concept that we sort of talked about how we were going to revisit our ice planets. And we were going to give them a lift. We were going to give them a bit of a buff, really. And we talked about how we were going to add volumetrics. We were going to scatter rocks, large-scale scatter rocks, to make the terrain more interesting to navigate. And one of the things I mentioned briefly, which has actually turned out to be perhaps more of a thing than we had originally thought, was that we were going to improve the game's lighting. Yeah. And so what we're going to do is stick a pin in the ice planet for a minute, and we'll come back to that a little later. We've got some stuff to show specifically about that just a little bit later on. But to begin with, we're going to have a look at the game's lighting model. Before
you move on, can I ask the tech people to move? There we go.
There we go.
Thanks.
That's a little more clear now. So basically, this is an image of the game. So a random section of the game at the moment as it currently stands. And it's something we're very happy with, and the look of the game has gone down well. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Can we do that? No, we can't.
Ooh,
yes, we can. Okay, great. Okay, cool. Although, funnily enough, seeing better might be a little bit easier with these next images. So part of the challenge with Elite is that the game is very, very big, right? It's a huge, massive gameplay space, and within that, there are realistic lighting models from the stars and the suns in there that make a large variety of environments that you can fly around and experience. So what that means for us as an art team is it's been quite challenging to be able to really curate the look of the game specifically and to make sure that it looks as good as it can at all times. So what we've sort of tasked our render guys with, and what John B. and Josh and some other people have been working on, is essentially a bunch of tools that allow us to do that better. So let's skip on to the second image there. So what you'll see here is what we are calling adaptive lighting. So what you're seeing there is an in-engine shot of before and after, essentially, of where we were and where we are. And these are tools as well. It's really important to make clear that these are tools that we got like last week. So we're very excited about them. We want to bring them along and give you a peek of them, but we are kind of still feeling our way with them. But we think these images do really show a dramatic global improvement to the look of the game. And then that's a very important thing to note as well. This is not just for one environment. This is for many environments. So, I've slightly skipped ahead of myself there. We've got another element to this, which is color grading. So in addition to the tools that we've got to specifically adapt our contrast and our toning and our exposure for the specifics of what you're seeing out of your cockpit window, we've also got the ability to add a post effect on top of that. So we can, based on location, choose a variety of color grading to go on top of the game, which will really, I think, from the early tests that we've done, enhance the look, feel, mood, and tone of the game that you're playing, really. So you'll see in some of these images, you can see this is the color grade. This is on the planet here. This is current in-game lighting, and that's back one. So let's go forward instead of backwards. There we go. So that's the current in-game lighting. That's our Cobra on our planet. Looked pretty good to us until last week, and then we threw that on it.
That's the one that
there you go,
everyone's looked at and gone,
we think that is both more realistic, more pleasing, and more filmic. So it's ticking all those boxes, which is really good. And then you can see on top of that, we can also layer on a color grade based on a variety of things: mood, tone, game events, and also what color the sun might be in that particular area. So we can go cool, warm, whatever we want to do. So we think it's a really strong suite. We've got a couple more of these if we skip on. So this is, again, this is an interior. This is in game at the moment. This is one of our stations. And then if we throw on our adaptive lighting, you'll see a load more details popping in the background there. And if we throw on our look, you'll see, in this case, quite a subtle, but still quite an important grade on top of that. So that's, I think, a strong set of tools. One more, I think. There we go. This is one of our Earth-like planets. And again, if we throw on the adaptive lighting, and then we throw on the color grade on top of that. So
wow. I like that. Wow, yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
That's good. I'm glad you like it. So, because you're going to be seeing a lot of it, essentially.
I think it's worth mentioning. Maybe you were just about to, so I'm treading all over. But this is a global thing for everyone. It's not, this is across the game, all platforms, all
no special
specs,
tools
everything.
needed, no special rig needed.
This is what it is. Yeah.
Across the board, and at a little extra expense as well. So it's really a strong win for us. But the key about this is that it's not just that we've changed the game's look and feel for one particular environment. We've actually got a way of adapting it for the environment that you're currently in. Yeah. So it means it's you should notice, and you will notice, a dramatic improvement in the look of the game come Q4.
Yes.
So that's kind of that, I think, for that. So let's have a little look at the Ice Planets. So back to this. Right, okay, so we talked about a whole suite of things that we were going to do to the environments to make them feel more compelling, more dramatic, and more interesting to navigate. However, I'm going to show you one of those things today. We've got a lot of things in progress, but we just wanted to bring one little snapshot along to show you a little bit of the progress on that, and Again, this will play in with the rest of the things that we've talked about. This is our ice shader.
Yes way. Yes way.
Yeah, boy!
Yeah, boy. My bank account is 00. No.
Cool. So, literally, cool. So,
Not much.
thank you. So the ice shader is just one part of the puzzle with the ice planets that we're looking at the moment. There's still all the rest of the stuff that we've got to do justice to this concept image that we showed. But for the moment, we just wanted to bring that little glimpse along to show you that we are committed to making them look really dramatically different and a real big visual win there, I think.
Yeah.
So that's about it for me.
That's lovely. I haven't thought about a link to bring back to myself. I hadn't thought
Over
about
to
that
you,
one.
Adam.
Yeah, thanks. So I think we'll all agree. You know, we've seen some. Stop trying to heckle me. We've seen some really interesting things there for the Quarter 4 update. I think hopefully you'll all agree that there's some pretty promising aspects that we're going to bring to the game. But as you're all aware, that's not the only thing that's coming this year. We have got the 2 smaller content updates coming. First one, of course, Chapter 2 coming on June 28th. And it's my pleasure to give you a little sneak peek behind that as well. I'm going to turn the page so I've got the rest of my script. So coming on June 28th at Chapter 2, we've got the installations are getting a little bit of an overhaul. So the Megaship interactions that you guys are already aware of and the Megaship process of scanning them are coming to the installations with all the interactions as well. So you can get involved there, use the mechanics that you're already used to, interrogate them, and then find out new things. You know, obviously you've got the cargo hatches, the turrets, the power generators, the comms arrays, data points, things like that. So that gives a little bit extra reason to go and visit these things and find out what you can do with them. But not only that, we're also adding a new interaction for some of the megaships. So you may find some damaged megaships around the galaxy, and if you perform the same process, you know, as we're all aware, the scanning and then interrogating the sub-targets and whatnot, you may find some escape hatches, some maybe occupied pods that you may or may not want to rescue. I'm not going to judge anyone, but it's up to you. Again, no judging, but my overlord says yes. I don't know who said that, but yeah, how are you supposed to feed them to it? Yeah, and so that's the escape hatch. There's a dramatic cut I want to leave before I move on to the next bit.
Hatchbreaker limpet engaged.
Ready? Yeah, there we go. Then we move on to, so we've got some more weapons coming across as well at Chapter 2. So we've got the large Guardian plasma charger. Yes. And then we also have the large Guardian shard cannon. Both of them come in with different mounts as well. I think they're turrets and fixed. And then we also have the large human shot cannon as well. There are some new weapons for you guys to play with, so go and find your local tech brokers and outfitters and give them some materials and see what you can do with them. We also have some more settlements and things for people to find. We know you've been enjoying finding out the sort of mini stories and the narratives that can be found from these sites, so there's new ones coming for you to explore and find out the backstory. There's one particular one that I quite like. And then, of course, the big thing we've all been waiting for. One of 2 new ships coming at Chapter 2. The Challenger. So the Challenger is the next in the Alliance ship lineup after the Chieftain. It's a little higher maneuverability rate than the Chieftain. It's got a few more hard points, so it's got a bit more bite, and it's slightly tougher as well. So pleased to see it come in game and see what you guys are going to get on with it and see how you apply it to your trade. Medium.
One of them.
No, it's medium.
One of the 3. Medium. We didn't go to Halfords. So So that's a sneak peek of what we're doing for Q4. I hope you guys are quite, excited by what we've shown you so far today. And of course, we've got the Chapter 2 update coming around just on June 28th. And you got yourself some paint jobs. Sorry, streamers, but these guys here have got some paint jobs. So really, it's only left to give everyone a round of applause. I'd like a massive round of applause for the panel, for Frontier, the dev people here, and of course yourselves and the community at large. Thank you so much for letting us carry on making games. Really. So all that's left is a little short Q&A. Who fancies asking some questions? So I think we've got a microphone just here. Line up.
Orderly or disorderly? One of the two.
I'll go and sit up there. Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about that one.
I'll tell them when to stop. Is this? Can you hear? Yes, you can hear me. Hello, sir. What's your question?
Hi there. Will the surface scanners be able to find the current things that I can't find anymore? Come back here.
Hey, wouldn't it be good if you had something that you could use to find them with?
It would be very good if there's something you could find them with. Now, will they find the current surface random things that, like the crash ships and things like that we've got?
Yes, in main part. Any interesting site, you should be able to find, basically.
Thanks, Andy.
Hello, sir. What's your question?
How many mugs could a mug if a mug could mug mugs?
10.
The answer's for the mug.
Right. I've just got my third triple elite. On
Well done.
Thursday.
That's a round of applause.
Yeah, well done.
And I only did it losing 3 ships as well, and that wasn't even in combat. What I want to know is how many elites have you got, and am I the most elite person who got 14 elites in total?
How many elites?
That's a good question.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I've got 8 commanders.
Well, I could go back and fiddle with admin and have as many as you want, but I'm not going to do that.
Away.
Or take yours away.
Get one
But
to try.
I would do that. No, I don't have any elites. No, absolutely. No way. You are way up there, and I am way down here. That's for me.
What about the other 2?
I believe I'm combat elite. I've forgotten because I tend to play on developer accounts more than my personal account more recently.
I was triple elite 6 times, and I didn't use the admin tool at all. Any other questions? Thanks, Ray.
Hiya, I've got a request. The Colonia region, has been basically settled now for over 2 years. There's 82 factions, of which there's 42 player factions. I know you can't favour one individual faction over the others, but please, can you give shipyards to every single player faction's home port in Colonia, so we can sort our ships out of home port?
I will talk to Steve Kirby about that, and we'll see what we can do. We certainly have the ability to act. Yeah, he is around. In fact, you could probably collar him and beat him up until he says yes.
Yeah. Speak to that gentleman at the back with the fabulous beard.
He says yes.
Boom, yeah.
See me on Monday, Steve Kirby.
Hi. I'd like to talk about a very non-divisive issue in the game.
Oh, let me guess.
Boy, am I glad I'm holding the mic.
And that's immersion. Currently the game has a mix of immersion timers and things which happen instantly for various reasons. Like the question is multifaceted. Which direction do you want to take the game in? Is it more immersive, less immersive, as it is, always depending on player feedback?
So so I can get this straight. So are you saying that the choice between making activities, for example, take time versus just occurring instantly? I think the way that we have to look at that is on a per-case basis. For a start, it's a very loaded term, immersion. You know, one person's immersion is another person's waste of time, and vice versa. So we have to look at each thing individually. Sometimes it's best to keep things instant. I think, for example, unloading cargo. It would be very, very realistic if they had to come out one at a time along the chute, along the conveyor belt, but it would slow things down maybe a tad too much. Other aspects, though, for example, what we're talking about with exploration and mining, sometimes creating a little bit of drama, having that little bit of time to breathe when you're performing an activity, it gives you a sense of verisimilitude, which you otherwise wouldn't get. So it really does come down on a per-case basis.
So, like, you want the immersion to be able to build anticipation rather than to...
Yeah, it absolutely needs to... When we make things take time, it's because we want to support some sort of reaction or emotion from the players.
Cool. Good. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I've got a question about Thyroid attacks on stations. So in the past, the system security response to Thyroid interceptors have been very poor. They've not interacted with them at all. But I've noticed that scouts, if you turn up with scouts, the ships jump into action and start fighting. When will this become an actual in-game play thing rather than just an exploit?
Define exploit there?
Well, because you have to force the scouts to follow you to a station. They don't just appear at a station.
So you're saying...
wait for Thursdays for an attack. You know?
Right. That's a difficult one. The Thyroid threat is an ongoing threat. So things will change over time. But clearly, I still deny that Thyroids even exist, right, frankly. It's all imperial propaganda. No, honestly, it is, right? Watch the stars. So I think we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Will system security stop shooting me if I fire in the no-fire zone at Thyroids?
Probably
they have to
not.
Adhere to safety rules. Yeah. There's a guy that comes around with a clipboard every month going, "Did you shoot the person that shot in the no-fire zone?" And the guy goes, "No." And he said, "Why?" And the guy said, "Well, there was a Thyroid there," and he got fired. So that can't happen. It's got to keep going.
Hi there. I have a question about the Icy Planets. We've seen, obviously, that concept art from Frontier Expo, which has looked really good. And you've talked about the developments that are coming on from the sort of lighting and particularly the art side and what's being done with the textures. One of the things that strikes me about that image is the fact also that it's got some more sort of jagged edges and sharp points on things. Is there work going on in that direction as well as just repainting the existing surfaces?
Well, yes. So we don't show concept images lightly, is all I would say with that. So what you have seen there is something that we are striving to get into the game, essentially. It's work in progress. We're still working on all of that stuff, and not every environment will be like that. Not every ice planet will be like that, but certainly that is something that we showed that image for a reason. So we're trying to tick those boxes.
Hi. I also want to talk about the new lighting system that you've just shown, specifically about virtual reality. I'm guessing this will be in the VR as well.
Yes.
So, for example, I'm currently using Reshade for that kind of stuff, so it's great that you're actually implementing this because it will make me stop using Reshade and start using the in-game stuff.
Right.
How much of a performance impact is that going to have on our systems?
Oh, understood. So what we've currently, the images we've shown there are 0. So that is essentially taking what we've currently got and having a system to manage what we've currently got and to make the most of what we've currently got rather than adding extra stuff on top of that. There are other things we are looking at that may have impacts on that sort of things in terms of the ice planets, but in terms of the actual lighting model and the grading, not so much.
Can I cheekily ask a quick extra question on that? Will multi-point lighting be coming into it? So if you have 2 stars in the system, will we get...
Interesting. That is something we have looked at. Currently not on the schedule, but it is something we've looked at.
Okay. With the exploration updates in Q4, will we finally be able to see a visual representation of comets in the game? Because they've been in there from the start, and we've one person sitting over there has managed to actually find one and drop out of Super Cruise on one, but we've been waiting to actually see them.
So this is where I'd normally say something like no comment. However, at this time, I'm saying no comment because I really don't know. We're looking at it. We're investigating things like that. There are lots of interesting concepts and challenges around it. Yeah. For once, I do not know that one at the moment. Do not know.
Yeah, it's obviously we understand that it ties in really well with exploration, but there's nothing to announce for Q4 for that. Yeah. But it's not necessarily, as we've seen over the last 5 years, we keep going. So, exploration doesn't necessarily stop at Q4. Maybe there's more things to find after, once we get all those plans in place as well. So, yeah.
Hiya. I've got a betting question for you. 2 scenarios. Which will happen first? Will we see humans on the surface of the moon for real, or SRVs on the surface of the moon in-game?
Do you count debug commands? Because I've already done that.
Done. You know what? I want to say. I want to say. Let's see humans on the moon for real. Right. That's what I prefer. But I couldn't tell you the answer. But for whether when we'll get SRVs on the moon.
With old Elon, old Musk, it'll be next week, won't it? So we can't compare to that sort of schedule.
Exactly.
That guy's got billions. Yeah. Buy some paint jobs, maybe. I don't know. That's a joke.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, signal sources. Are there any plans to revamp the gameplay associated with signal sources at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, in your things to find an exploration thing, you saw it looked like lightning bolts in an atmosphere. Is it gas giants or atmospheric planets or both?
I think it's safe to say it's environments, but no more details.
I think it's also safe to say that it's not atmospheres, it's not gas giants. Yeah. It's within the vacuum of space, and it's an environment within space. So no atmospheres, no gas giants. Yeah. All right? Cheekies.
Nice try, though.
Hey, but look how good it looked without atmospheres and gas giants, right? And how about that lighting and lightning? That's tricky.
Hello. I'd like to cast your mind back to some of the talks David Braben gave before launch. I'm particularly remembered when I asked him a question about exploration, and he waxed somewhat lyrical about the ability to trade data to both Federation, Alliance, and Empire, and the consequences that might result if you trod into multiple superpowers. We haven't seen anything like that kind of complex background simulation going on. Are there plans in place to provide that level?
For that particular element, but yeah, sure. Yeah. In general, we are looking at various tweaks and changes and additions to the background simulation. We just don't have anything to announce yet in terms of time or schedules for Q4.
More complex, a richer, deeper is coming.
I can't give you guarantees, but we're always looking to improve all of the systems.
Right. I have 2 slightly irrelevant but slightly also relevant questions.
Wow.
Number 1, with the probes, I like the idea of those, putting them down on the planet. So, any chance of probe-sized basketball hoops so we can just slam dunk a planet?
You know, that sounds amazing.
I'm really hoping for that. And number 2, as the Men of Frontier, I feel like I'm in the right place to ask. If I offered you anything right now, would I get a free copy of Jurassic World? Jurassic Evolution. Would I get it?
If you give me $49.99 in English pounds, the Queen's currency, you can have a copy.
Hello. With all the new game features that you're adding to exploration and mining and things like that, will you be bringing out ship-specific modules, like for explorers or general all-round ships or hauling ships, or have modules that only them class of ships can use in order to maximise these new features that you're bringing in? Because obviously an exploration ship would have been designed to carry all the scientific equipment needed and stuff like that. Therefore, explorer ships would actually get all the modules required to have all these fun new game features brought into them to maximise the use of ships and encourage people to use all the difference in ships for the various roles.
Sure, no, that's a really good question. In fairness, we've started down that route already. We started with passenger ships, yeah,
yes,
their modules, and also we've got military modules for only certain ships that we class as militaristic have. I think it's a fair bet to say that there'll be module slots on certain ships that will be specifically for exploration-based and possibly mining-based modules. So it allows us to differentiate between ships a little bit better without having to add a brand new ship for it.
And we're trading as well, because obviously one of the problems that you've got with trading at the moment is like stuff like hydrogen, which is like not very worth. But you could have stuff like bulk trading modules where you can have, it's more efficient at loading up the bulk, which then means the smaller items like that, you then become more profitable and encourage more use of the commodities in the commodity market as well.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I without going into any specifics, it's definitely a route that we're heading down. Yeah.
Oh, Space Loach's cousin or something here? What's going on?
So probably a repeated question is, when can we use SRVs in multi-crew? I carry 4 of them around with me.
Nothing to announce on that front at the moment. There's no point in...
Not yet.
Nothing to announce on that front at the moment. So. Sorry.
Hi, so 2 quick questions, if I may. With the update to exploring, can we get a GPS so that when we're down on the planet's surface, I know that when we're firing probes, it will probably create a POI or something similar, but is there any chance of getting a GPS so that we can fly to specific planet coordinates?
I'm forgetting the exact schedules. We've definitely discussed a bookmarking system. I honestly can't say if it's making it into the Q4 or not. We'd have to go and check.
It's definitely something we want,
yeah.
Right?
Okay, cool.
And I think everyone wants it, but I just don't know. Yeah, I can't remember the schedule either.
No problem. My second question, would it be possible to get a triple elite decal?
You know what?
If you give me $49.99... Oh, wow! Drinks on me? No, not drinks on me.
Yeah, if possible. Just like at the moment, some of us are having to make hard choices over which one to display, and it'd just be nice to sort of have a triple elite decal, bang, and it's on there.
So that we have discussed that. I can't. Same as Mark. I can't remember where that's falling, but
It's a really good idea.
Thank you. That's it for the Q&A. So just one more big round of applause. Thank you very much for all the questions and for listening to us. A lot of us will be around still for the rest of the day, so please feel free to come and say hello. And we'll have a couple of beers. Thanks. Anyone who's asked a question, could you come up the front? It's not bad. It's I forgot to say that you get a print. That I totally forgot to say that. So, sorry.